That'll do for now. I am Dan Nelson. Thanks for joining me for another free art lesson. I'm going to talk about how to draw a hand, and hopefully I'm going to demonstrate how to do it better than this. I've mentioned this before, but let me say it again, that when I open up one of these art lessons, scribbling, sketching, you'll notice the kind of motions that I'm using. I'm doing a lot of extraneous, you could say, extraneous movements. I'm allowing my charcoal, in this case, to stay on the page and to wander around, and I'm roughly outlining these bodily shapes. And I recommend that you draw this way as well. Don't just draw what I draw. Make it your goal to try to move in the way that I move. Very fluid, very expressive, quick moving, and so on. But let me back up now and talk about the anatomy of the hand, how to draw a hand. This is probably one of the areas next to the face that people complain about the most. They say, well, man, I just can't draw hands. How do you draw hands? Well, practice, practice, practice is the real answer that you don't want to hear, but that's the real answer. Let me give you a few tips. First of all, the reason a hand is so hard to draw is because it is so malleable. There's virtually no part of the hand is rigid. Every part of it can move. Even the palm can curl up a little bit and can flatten out. And it's hard because you don't know what kind of hand, what shape, what position to draw the hand in. So let me give you a few basic principles. The number one principle would be this. You need to be able to visualize the hand as a three-dimensional object. Learning to draw it as flat lines on a flat page won't do you really much good until you can visualize. If I had a piece of clay in my hands right here, I would actually mold it and shape it in hopes that you would do the same thing. And at least in your mind's eye, begin to see, let's remove all the fingers and all the thumb, and let's just draw the palm, shall we? The simplest rendering of all of the hand. Senza palm, that is, without senza fingers, phalanges, would be something like this. This is either a left hand from the front or a right hand from the back. Let's make it a right hand from the back. This is a shape that defies description. It's a five-sided, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but it's not 5 equal, so we couldn't call it a pentagram. It's way far. It's sort of close to a square, but the top part is curved, and this part has two sides, and this is slightly curved, and that's the only one that's straight. That's not very close to a square, is it? This, I'm afraid, is just simply a shape you're going to have to learn if you want to understand how a hand looks front and back, just for starters. And then, of course, we can add fingers to this. It is the fingers, the one side of the index finger starts here, and the far side of the pinky starts here. And the good news is that the fingers meet in between each finger. The lines come together. So we simply have to find out where we're going to put, these cuts into our finger mass. Does that make sense? Into our finger unit. We have to divide it up. Okay, couple things. One is, you all know that the pinky is the smallest, the skinniest, and typically the index finger is the fattest. So they go from fat to skinny. And if I do it right, which I did not, I'll come out just right. So I have to go back and kind of do it again. Okay, so let me see. And of course, as you can see here, I'm just doing the base of the fingers. I'm not even trying to do the whole finger at this point. And then the thumb comes out at an angle, kind of like this. Now if this is, I just switched it to a left hand. We have a crease there, and the muscle of the thumb generally goes there. By the way, do you know how your hand is made? Wiggle your three fingers. 3 fingers on your hand. Tell me now, where are the muscles that are wiggling that finger, that are wiggling those 3 fingers? Can you tell me where that muscle is? 3 muscles? That's right. Way down here. Put your hand here and go like this. Do you feel that? Okay, now wiggle your pinky. Go like this and wiggle your pinky. Tell me, where is the muscle that wiggles your pinky? It's not there, right? It's right here. Isn't that weird? So you got a pinky muscle right up here, and you got the other 3 finger muscles down here, and your thumb. Where's your thumb? Right here. So thumb and pinky, the outside of your hand, the muscles are up here, which gives us that fleshy palm, that thick part here, thick part here. But your 3 fingers in between are operated by cables that run from your fingers down to this part of your arm. Is that crazy? Wow. Works great. I don't know who invented it, but they were pretty smart. Here's a very important principle. As I said, the hand is so complex. One of the simplest things you can do, one of the most important things you can do to help yourself render a hand realistically is forget the fingers. Forget the thumb and the fingers. Not so sure about the thumb, but definitely forget the fingers. And in the initial stages, treat them all as a unit. Don't try to draw finger, 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 finger. Okay? Save that for later. When you're drawing a hand, begin by drawing the whole hand and the fingers as a single piece. Now, in this case, I'm drawing the thumb. This is a right hand kind of going like this. Are you with me? And then you can come back later. In fact, and I can clarify a little bit. Say, okay, there's my index finger. There's my tall finger. There's my ring finger. And there's my pinky. Do you see? You're more likely to have a realistic hand if you begin. Let me do that again. Let me do a different position. If you'll draw the hand, the fingers, as a complete unit. And then you come back and subdivide that unit into small pieces. Those are both pretty bad hands, but I hope you get the point. Let me do just a few others to get the idea. The thumb is typically such a big part of the hand that I draw it as a separate unit. But all of this down here can be seen as the finger unit. Draw the fingers as a complete unit and then come back in, as I did here, and subdivide them. Let me do what would be another position. A fist is a good challenge. Draw the whole fist, all the fingers as a unit first, and then come back and subdivide the finger unit into 4 separate pieces. Does that make sense? You're more likely to come up with a believable hand if you do it that way than if you try to draw it finger by finger by finger by finger. Well, I think I'm going to let it go at that. Look at one of the fun things about drawing your hand is you can look at your left hand if you're right-handed and copy it, or vice versa if you're left-handed. And you almost always have a model right there at your disposal. So draw your hand, draw your hand. Have fun. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.